Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Crushing Land. This week we're doing a really exciting interview with Ginis today. We want to get to know him better. I want to get to know him better too. So, there's a lot of things that I'm hoping to learn through this interview. I've got a lot of questions prepared for him as not only the co-owner of the land method, some things going on inside the business, but also some personal questions so that we can get to know him more on a personal level. So, like I said, we have questions prepared for him, but if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. We'll be monitoring that and we'll answer any questions that you guys have as well. So let's get into it. All right, Ginis, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. About yourself?
Good, I'm doing good. So one of our first questions that we have for you today is, where are you from? Very basic question.
Cleveland, Ohio. By way of my mom and dad was are Puerto Rican descent, born in Puerto Rico. Obviously moved to the States when they were younger. And yeah, that's where I was born and raised at Cleveland. I still go there. I still got a bunch of stuff there, and that's my home.
That's awesome. That's really cool to know where you're from and also the Puerto Rican descent as well. So, do you speak Spanish?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Fluently Spanish. I can read, write, talk it. Yeah.
That's
Spanish
awesome.
and English. That's it.
Yeah.
I took some Japanese and some French when I was in high school, but I don't remember a word of anything.
Yeah. Well, at least you got the Spanish down. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
no, what they always say, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? And that's
yeah,
what I did with the other languages that I learned.
yeah, for sure. So, growing up in Cleveland, what was life like for you as a kid and teenager?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was rough at times. I mean, coming from a single parent household, my mom and dad broke up when I was really young, and obviously we weren't rich. We didn't have much growing up. Um, I have an older brother from the same mom and dad. I do have other siblings from my dad's side, but from my mom's side, it was just me and my older brother, who's he's 4 years older than me. So, and yeah, he kind of moved out at a young age, into the streets doing stuff, and it was just me and my mom, and yeah, it was a struggle. And that one thing I will say, and this is something I've told everybody that knows me, is that I appreciate my mom so much because she never, no matter how poor we was, no matter that I didn't get the things that I wanted growing up, but she never resorted to drugs, right? Which was a big thing where I'm from, right? The bad drugs is a huge thing where I'm from. So she never resorted to that. So that was a good thing. But I mean, other than that, man, just regular teenager. I was big in sports. I was huge sports guy. Like, I mean, I played basketball in high school. Um, I played football. I played baseball. I kind of did a little bit of everything, and I was pretty good at it. I wasn't the greatest, but in my area where I grew up at, I was one of the better players. And then had a kid at a young age, and that kind of had to focus on that. So I had a kid when I was 17. So she's almost 23 now.
We're like the same. We're almost the same age. I could be your daughter, I guess.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So, it sounds like you really had an awesome mom. That's
Yeah,
really cool. Even going through those struggles, it sounds like she was really a good support for you. So,
absolutely.
that being said, what was kind of one of the more difficult things that you had to go through?
I think for me personally, it was I believe it was 2006. I went through a Bell's palsy. That's why you see my eyes are like not even, and my mouth, the way I talk, and even like my nostrils. It's like my whole one half of side of my face went like turned. So like for like a month, I was like literally like that, talking wise. And yeah, I lost like the seventh cranial nerve, went dead or something. And there's no cure for it. It just happens to people, I guess. It's called Bell's palsy.
Mhm.
And like most of everything came back. I mean, I'm still off. You can tell a little bit if you like stare at me, or if you see me drinking a soda or even a water, like I tear up a lot. It just happens. But just having to deal with that, never having like I said, I played sports my whole life, never having a major injury, never had a surgery, like never had anything bad go wrong with me until this happened. It was kind of tough because it was like, okay, there's no cure for it. There's nothing that can be done. It's just like, if it comes back, it comes back. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So that was pretty tough in the beginning because I used to work at a call center at this time, at 23 years old. I used to work at a call center in collections. So I had to be on the phone all day, and with my mouth turned, I couldn't really talk. So, it was rough for a little bit. So I would say that's probably the biggest thing I had to overcome in my life.
So how did you overcome that? You said that was a really big thing, especially in the call center, having to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, kind of just getting used to it over time. I mean,
Mhm.
it took me a while, just, the insecurity of looking different, of, not being the same as I was prior to that, kind of affected me personally a little bit.
Yeah.
But as like my wife was there, my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife now,
Mhm.
just kind of, there supporting me and telling me it's going to be okay. I'm going to get back to normal and stuff like that was a big help. But yeah, I mean and then again, I had a little kid at the time, and they're looking at me like, Dad, what the heck happened to you? But yeah, it just took time. Over time, it allowed me to kind of start getting used to it and just kind of coping with it, knowing that, hey, I may be like this for the rest of my life. So now it's like, I don't even think about it anymore like I used to.
Well, it's good you had a good support system through all of that as well.
Yeah.
So going from working at the call center and going through those things, how did you end up getting into real estate, and why did you want to choose real estate?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been with my wife now for a long time.
Mhm.
And when we first got together, like I said, I already had a kid. Then we had another kid in 2005, then had another kid in 2008. So in like 2005, we had bought our first house at the end of my 21st year, about to be 22. Me and my wife bought our first house, and I had went to this real estate event because I always wanted to do real estate, but I had no idea like how to get into it. I mean, literally since I was like probably 17, 18 years old. But I just had no idea like how to get into it. None of my family was in real estate, not even as like an agent, loan officer, nothing. Like I said, I come from a very poor family. So like they had regular jobs and that's all they did. Like my dad worked at a factory for 40 years. He still works there today, even though he's fully retired. He still works there today a few hours a day. Just that's all he knows, right? So I knew growing up, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to work, bust my butt to make small, a little bit of money. So that's why I got into the call center environment, because it was like bonuses, commission, and decent money per hour. But I had the ability to make a lot more money than even what my parents. I was making more money than my dad when I was 22 years old. But again, for him, it was like, okay, I got my bills paid. I got enough money to spend on the weekends. I got enough money to take a vacation or two per year, me and my wife, So for him, he was comfortable, right? And that's the mentality kind of a lot of people have when that's all you know. But yeah, just it was. I kind of even lost my whole train of thought of what the question was. Honestly, 'cause I just started talking and just forgot.
You're good. Well, that's really cool that you saw that him working really, really hard, he never really got anywhere with that. So it sounds like you wanted to, like, if you wanted to put in hard work, you wanted to get things back from putting in that hard work.
Well, that was it. But as I'm saying, in 2000, I believe it was 2005, that's when we went to the real estate event. I'm sorry, it kind of clicked again. So that's when I went to this real estate event on probate real estate. And I go to this event. I went by myself. My wife didn't want to go. She had no interest in the beginning. And so I went to this event, and the guy was talking. I believe it was Mark Gonzalez. I could be wrong, but I believe that's who it was. It was like we was in a little hotel room. It was like 30 people there. It was like the little 2-hour preview events where you go, you register, they give you a free gift for going. And so I went and I sat there, and I was front row. I had a little notepad. I'm taking notes, and I'm like, man, this is the best thing ever. Like, this is my way to get in. Until the end of the pitch, I didn't know they were selling anything. Literally, this is my first time ever going. And then they're like, yeah, it's $2,500. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I'm out of the running now at this point. I don't have no money, right? I mean, again, we're very young. We don't have a ton of money. We got kids, we got bills, and we got normal things that we have to do. And I go back home and I'm telling my wife, I'm like, babe, I found our ticket. The real estate and this, that. Now we just need $2,500. She's like, well, how the hell are you going to come up with $2,500? Right? Like, We don't have that kind of money. So I kind of just like, it just kind of went away. But little by little, I would like, the little free time that I had, I would spend a little bit of time just kind of researching and looking up other real estate now, because I see one guy. So now I'm like, there's more to it. So that's when I kind of started opening up myself to, hey, there's more than what I'm doing. And it wasn't until like 2008 when I had lost my job in 2007. And at this point, I was a claims manager for an extended warranty company. And we went on vacation, came back home. Literally after a week vacation, the doors was locked.
Oh my goodness.
So that's when I really started to like do more research on real estate, because I'm like, I couldn't find a job. I was overqualified. At the time, a young guy was making like 50 grand a year, which was not bad money back then. And it just I couldn't find a job anywhere, because everybody was looking at me like, if I hire you at 10, 12 bucks an hour, you're probably going to quit on me as soon as you find a better job. So no one would hire me. So I ended up working at National City Bank, was a bank in Ohio at that time for a short period of time at the end of 2007 and 2008. And, during the day I would do research, because I was working third shift from like 10 till finish. And I was literally just putting stuff inside, what do you call that? Like a data entry person, where I was like putting checks, like physical checks. I would have a stack of them that I had to put into the system.
Okay.
Make sure everything worked out right. So I did that for a while. And, that's when I started to kind of jump into real estate a little bit here and there, and kind of like start getting my feet wet. And then we moved to Charlotte in 2008 in August. So by that point, we were already kind of doing some real estate, but then we kind of had to it was just very difficult in the beginning, because we had so many moving pieces, so many things going on. Young toddler kids. We moved to Charlotte. My wife had a job at the Federal Reserve Bank. They transferred her down. That's why we moved. Okay. And then once we get down here, they shut her position down.
Oh no.
So it was so many moving pieces. So that was more of a push to like get into the real estate. And then we finally made a deal happen, made a little bit of money. And, we got some help. Somebody kind of helped us out. My dad's good friend kind of gave us some money to hire a coach and to kind of get things done right. So it was, make a long story short, we got a little help. We got a little jump start. We finally did a deal right as, obviously the economy was tanking at this point. But, as they say, millionaires are made, in a down economy. And I mean, it's true. I mean, don't get me wrong. It wasn't an easy road, and anything worth anything is never easy. Right. And so that's something. So, I mean, we played around with it a little bit. It did well in 2009. 2010 kind of went back down, where to the point when we were ready to quit, and then just work regular jobs. At that time, we were both still working though, but we were just like looking to just quit. Like, okay, it's not going the same. Luckily, we stuck it out. We were doing a bunch of fix and flips and things of that nature. And then, I just kind of continued to go up from there after 2011, 12.
Yeah, that's really cool. Going from taking a lot of hard work to get there, though.
Yeah, a lot of moving pieces, kids in the way, and then through all this, my wife went back to school in 2010, again, because we were struggling with the thing. Mm-hmm. So she went back to school to get a degree, and she didn't graduate until 2014. So we had 4 years of that, along with doing real estate, along with having little kids, along with working. Like literally, it was so much. That's why I say, when my kids come to me with BS now, like, hey, Dad, I can't do this, or I can't manage this, or I'm like, listen, we've managed 3 kids, 2 full-time jobs, doing real estate part-time, and my wife going to school full-time. I mean, there was some days we didn't even see her, because she was at school, she'd go work for the school district in Charlotte, from 8 to 4. And then right after work, she went straight to school to 8, 9 o'clock at night. Then she'd come home and cook us dinner. Or, if her mom lives close by, so her mom would cook us dinner, because I don't cook. That's one thing about me. You want to know anything about me? I don't cook anything. Never have, never will.
Not even on the grill?
Not even, man, barely. Like maybe a steak or something like once a month, but that's about it. I'm not a cook at all. I suck at it.
Yeah.
I'm just a taste tester.
I'd love to be just the taste tester. That'd be awesome. Anyway, so that's really cool to see how you got into everything. Now that you are here you're an investor full time. What's your favorite part about it?
My favorite part is helping people that started, that start and kind of see the progression over time, where they start with nothing. They have a lot of skepticism about, can you really help me? Are you going to help me? Am I going to do this? And then when you start to see them grow over time, little by little, where it's like, oh, they got their first deal, they're super excited, right? Now they put a little more time into the business. Then they get their second, their third, their fifth, their 10th deal. And now they're like, oh, this really does work. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not simple. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of patience. It takes time. But if you stick with it, it does work.
Yeah. I understand. I love that, also that feeling of just seeing someone's eyes light up when they really get it,
Well, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, because, at the end of the day, what I always say, like, if I was able to do it coming from where I came from, the mentality that I had growing up, I never even took a vacation, like outside of the state. I went out of the state like one time when I was like 10, until I was about 17, 18 years old. Literally, we never went on vacations. We didn't even go to like Disney World, Florida. Like, we went nowhere. We just was Ohio kids. We just always was in the city. Our vacation was like going to Cedar Point or going to Jogger Lake or SeaWorld every year. That was our vacations, every year was that.
Cedar Point's fun though.
Oh, it's amazing, but it gets boring
I understand
every year.
So you said that you had done a lot of fix and flips before. Why did you end up choosing to focus just on land and not on those other aspects?
The biggest reason is because, I mean, we were doing several fix and flips a year, and the stress from doing it in other states, right? Because we would do a lot in Ohio. Obviously, where I'm from, I know the market like the back of my hand, so that was where I was comfortable doing them at. We did a few here in Charlotte. We did a few in other states, but I was always more of the virtual guy, more of the manager, hiring the contractors, putting everything in place, kind of managing the whole project like a project manager or something like that. And it just became so difficult to the point where, like, me and my wife almost got divorced because it was that bad. Like, just the stress level was way high. And then, I started doing the land. And it was like, oh man, this is like, I can make good profits without tying up my money, without tying up hours a day of my time, without having to be away from my family for hours at a time. So that's why I gravitated more towards land. I still do and still always have done a fix and flip here and there, or, rental property or something like that, because I don't believe in just putting all my eggs in one basket, right? So I always try to diversify and do different things, even to this day, but I don't actively now like market for houses. If a deal comes my way and it makes sense, hey, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, you got that background.
It's got to be a great deal, in my opinion. Like, it has to be a really good deal for me to take it. And I know I'm not going to lose, right? In that case, I'm taking them, but I'm not actively looking for it. And land was just, like I said, it was so much easier to do versus the fix and flip. And even with the house wholesaling, I mean, we do some of that. We've done some of that, but it's a different ballgame, in my opinion. I mean, it's similar as far as styles, as far as like the processes and all that stuff, but it's also different with competition and everything that you got going on. So
yeah, land just seems a lot simpler. I've never done the fix and flip things, but land is a lot more simple than all of that.
Yeah, and a lot less moving pieces, right? I mean, you don't have contractors, you don't have appraisers, you don't have loan companies involved, right? Mortgage companies, this person's gonna go get a mortgage. You got to do this. You got the inspector coming to make sure everything's legit. They always find something. You got to hope the appraisal comes in at price. If it comes in under, then if it's FHA, you got to disclose it. You can't basically sell it for more than that to FHA for X amount of months. So there's just a lot more moving pieces. Whereas with land, is just you, the buyer, the seller, and the title company, right? I mean, if they want to do something to the land, they can do it themselves. If they want to get it perk tested, if it needs to, if they want to get a survey done, I mean, that's on the seller. We normally don't do most of that stuff unless we're trying to maximize the value of that lot.
Yeah. So going through all of that, finally getting to where you are now, who do you think was the most important person that helped you through all of this?
Yeah, that's a great question because there's a few people, but I would say the most helpful person that has helped me along my journey of running the businesses that I've run, from the call center to the relationships that I've been able to build with some of these successful investors. And also someone that really just like truly believed in me from like the first few months that I worked with him. It would be Nathan Amaral. And I know a lot of people know Nathan. He's an awesome guy. I've known him for years. I mean, he used to be my manager when I worked for another guru,
Oh,
another real estate guy. And that's how I met him, like 2009-ish or 2010, something like that. I used to work for another real estate wholesaler here locally. And Nathan was the manager. He was like just like an acting manager. Like it was like our trainer. And then the manager had quit or got fired. I don't recall what happened. And they asked him to stay on board. And we were all really cool with him. It was only like 6 or 7 of us. And we were all really cool with him. We loved him. But he's the one that he always told me, look, man, you're way better than this job. Like you're way better than this job. And for me, it was like, where I come from, don't nobody look out for you like that. So I was very hesitant for like literally like a year. Like, dude, you're tripping. Like, back up. You don't know me like that. And where I come from, people don't help people like that. So I don't know what you're trying to get out of here. I don't know if you're trying to get me fired. I don't know what you're trying to do. Because, I mean, we were making good money at the job. I mean, we were making hella good money. And it was just that for me, I was a little hesitant. And so my wife told me, she was like, look, maybe he really is trying to help you.
yeah.
And I'm like, where we're from, we don't really get help like that. So I was just literally like 10 months, I was like fighting him on everything because I just didn't trust him.
Right. Yeah.
And he I finally said, okay, well, if you think I'm that good, set me up some meetings. And he literally set me up some meetings to like go out on my own, to do certain things in the back end of the business, not like, so like, and as far as real estate, he's helped me, but also on the back end of building relationships and helping other big speakers with platforms and stuff like that I've been able to help people with.
He helped you so much, and now you're doing the same thing for other people.
That's it. That's what it comes down to, man, is passing along knowledge. Because guess what? I can't take it all with me. I can't buy up every piece of land or every house in America. So why not, provide knowledge and help others that are serious, that are truly wanting to get out of their current situation or better their current situation, right? At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I've heard you tell people before that you've been helping people specifically in real estate reach their goals for about 13 years now. So can you tell me a little bit more about that, how you help people reach their goals?
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what I was just saying. I've worked with a lot of speakers, some very big that and you see on TV or you hear, you see all over the internet, as well as some very small ones, from land speakers to house speakers to multifamily speakers to eBay to a lot of other things. I've worked with a lot of these speakers on the back end, whether it was in sales, whether it was in customer service, whether it was putting plans together, building stuff, training. I mean, I've done a lot of different things and help people, and being able to help the student at the end of the day, right? And that was our biggest thing is every company I went to, and a lot of them didn't, some of them didn't last long because I just didn't believe in the company, the organization. Once I got in and see how they were running things, it just wasn't a fit for me. So some was long-term, some was more short-term. For example, my most recent one, I was with a big land guy for a while, for 5 or 6 years. Awesome people. And towards the end, it just wasn't what I wanted, right? What wasn't right for me. I didn't think it was right. When you're a mom and pop and you're doing great, to now you're just a number at the end of the day, right? Now it's just more about the money. And don't get me wrong, we all want money. We all love money. Money makes the world go round. But I got to be able to sleep good at night at the end of the day, right? And that's something about me. I ain't no liar. I don't BS people. I don't. And I'm not saying that that's what was going on completely, but I'm just someone that's straight up. I'm straight up, and I want you to be straight up as well. And if it ain't there, it just ain't there no more. And that's kind of what happened. After 6 years, I picked up my team and I said, look, man, we're out of here. No hard feelings. Till this day, I have no hard feelings. I know I get a lot, I hear a lot of stuff being said about myself, about Jonathan, this and that from other companies, but we don't reply, we don't respond. Why? Because at the end of the day, our main goal is to try to help people better themselves and better their lives.
That's really important. Thank you for all these candid answers. This is really good so far. At least I feel that way. I've gotten to know more about you too.
Yeah.
Again, if you guys who are watching have any questions for Ginis as we're going along, make sure to put them in the chat and we will definitely get to answering those near the end of the session today. So just to break things up a little bit, getting kind of more away from serious questions, I thought it would be fun to play a little game, just answer some more random questions, more personal questions. So the first one that I was thinking of is, what's your favorite drink?
Ice cold beer.
Ice cold beer, yeah.
Or water. I drink a lot of water and ice cold beer. I love an ice cold beer, especially on a 90-something degree day like it's been over here. Yesterday, for example, I moved my daughter into college, and I was sitting there building stuff, and for like 5 hours, I'm building everything that needs to be built for her. And we finally done. I'm like, look, I'm starving now. We went to the restaurant. I said, give me an ice cold beer. I need ice cold beer at this point.
Is there a specific one that is your favorite?
My favorite beer, I would say right now, I would say is Landshark.
Landshark.
Yeah, it's a beautiful like island style lager. It's I'm a light kind of beer. I don't like
it's real light, yeah.
Yeah, it's a light beer. It's beautiful for like when you're outside in the sun. That, and there's another beer. It's a summer beer only called Hell or High Watermelon. If you like watermelon, this beer is phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah,
so
those are my favorites.
The food theme here. What about food? What's your favorite kind of food?
My favorite kind of food is rice and beans, baby. I'm Puerto Rican. My wife makes some great rice and beans with any kind of meat. Give me some baked chickens, some fried chicken, I don't eat too much like pork chops. I don't know why. I grew up eating it my whole life, and now it's nasty to me.
Probably because that's all you ate, right?
I eat pork, just not pork chops for some reason. I love bacon, I love sausage, all that stuff. Pork shoulder, you throw it in the oven. My wife makes, but I just don't like pork chops. So rice and beans and any kind of meat you throw on there, I'm gonna eat it.
That sounds amazing. All right, so what about traveling? What's the favorite place you've ever traveled or like to continue to go back to, I should say?
Well, I would say, based on what my kids always tell me, they absolutely love Colombia. We went to Colombia, and they always ask me every time we're booking a vacation, Dad, can we just go back to Colombia? And I'm like, well, there's like another 6 billion places in the world that we can visit. I'm of the way I think is, hey, if we've already been there, let's try other places, right? Where they're like, let's just go back there. So I say Colombia. Best place I would love to visit would probably be Spain. We want to go see Spain. My daughter's been dying to do it. We're planning one now, probably for her 16th birthday in February, to either go to Spain or Brazil. Because she said, instead of having me a big party, let's go take a trip out of the country. Yeah. And now we got one less kid because my other one's in college. So she's like, we got one less kid, so it's less money, Dad. Right. She's all about saving money. She's all about how can we save $1.
That's awesome.
This time we eliminated the whole kid.
Yeah. Okay, so you said earlier that you're really, really into sports. What's your favorite teams?
Oh, Cleveland, everything. The Browns, obviously football is my favorite sport to watch. It's football. My favorite sport to play is basketball, but I love all sports. Baseball, football, basketball. I love college football, Ohio State Buckeyes. That's my number one team. And also soccer. I like to watch soccer. I hate to play it. And I hate to watch it. Like if I'm watching kids play, I don't like to watch that because it's too slow for me. Yeah. But the pros, I like to watch it.
Yeah, it'd get pretty exciting. I agree. So one question I forgot to ask you along the food line, do you have a favorite candy?
My favorite candy would have to be chocolate M&Ms, and then like non-chocolate would be gummy bears.
Okay. No Sour Patch Kids or anything?
No, I hate sour candy.
No?
Actually, look at the other day, like a week or two, there's these little gummy bear candies that I buy. I forgot. They come in a white pack. They're so good. I forgot the name of them.
I don't think I've ever heard of gummy bears coming in a white pack before.
Yeah, they're like, they got this, they're so amazing. I promise you, if you try them, you would, if you like gummy bears, you would love these gummy bears. But they're expensive. They're not cheap. They're like upscale gummy bears in my opinion. But the other day at Publix, I went, like, it was maybe like 2-3 weeks ago. They always have the weekly specials, right? Buy one, get one free.
Yeah.
I had these candies that I love. I grabbed a pack thinking it's my gummy bears. I go upstairs, at night when I'm relaxed. Sometimes I like to have, a few pieces of candy. So I opened it up. I didn't look at the bag. I just knew they were the ones I like. I grabbed one. It was one of them sour ones. I was like, oh my God, I will spit it out.
That's awesome. All right. So what's your favorite type of music?
Hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah, hip hop.
Is there all hip hop or a certain decade of hip hop?
I mean, 90s hip hop is my 90s, early 2000s. That's my kind of hip hop. But I do listen to very few people today. I will listen to some people that are out. I like other forms of music, reggaeton, Afro beats. I mean, we listen to some of that. I mean, I like all kinds of music, but my favorite one is hip hop for sure.
So you told me earlier that you're actually going to a concert tonight. Who are you going to see tonight?
50 Cent and Busta Rhymes.
Oh, awesome.
And Busta Rhymes is one of my favorites. Not my favorite, but one of them. Busta Rhymes.
So who is your favorite then?
Jay-Z for sure.
Yeah.
Hands down, I don't think anybody, he's my favorite. Storytelling, wordplay, rhymes, longevity, can talk about anything. I mean, to me, he's my favorite.
Yeah. So how about Beyonce? We're on the Jay-Z thing.
Oh, Beyonce, I don't like Beyonce too much. I never really have liked her though, but I mean, they've been together so long. I'm happy for them. They've been together around almost the same time me and my wife's been together.
Oh, really?
When they got it by a year though. I think they got together like 2002 or something.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so what kind of car do you drive?
Car do I drive now? My sports car. I have a Corvette C7. That's my car that I drive, but I mainly drive my wife's car because I don't bring it out much.
Gotcha.
Unless we're going to have like a dinner or drink or something like that.
Is that the favorite car that you've had?
That was my dream car growing up, actually. So even on the back, I mean, it's my business. One of my business names is Dream Big, so that's my license plate says Dream Big. But I know some people pull up beside me, right? If they, they're in their Lamborghini looking at me like, Dream Big, man, look at my car. But for me, that was something that I always wanted growing up, right? That was my dream, was like, I want to own a Corvette. And this was my second one. I had a C6, beautiful car. I traded it a few years ago and I got this one. I want the newer one. I just don't like the price tag on it. So that's why I haven't gotten one yet. I don't, when they're going from like 60 to 80 grand up to like 200,000 now for a Z06, it's like that. I could go buy a Lamborghini for that. And
yeah, that's true.
And I don't want to spend that much money on a car, quite frankly. So I probably wouldn't buy one at this point.
So did you say you have been with your wife since 2003? How long have you guys been together?
It'll be 20 years, October. End of October, it'll be 20 years we've been together. We've been married since, 14 years, 2009. So
okay.
We got married in 2009. We were going to get married before that. But reality was obviously we didn't have no money. We didn't have much money when we were that age. We had kids. We had a lot of things going on and moving just to the new state and all of that good stuff. So just trying to get our feet wet. And I came to a realization. I said, look, we don't have a bunch of money. Let's just go get a little trip with our tax money to Vegas. And, literally that's what we did. We booked a little room at the, I think it's called the Gold Coast Casino. It was like $100 for 4 nights, literally $100 for 4 nights. And I had these free flights that they gave away from T-Mobile. T-Mobile had these, you subscribe, I mean, you get their service, and they were giving away 2 airline tickets to like 10 destinations, Vegas, Miami, LA, all the big places, Chicago, New York City. And it was about to expire. So I told my wife, I said, why don't we wait our tax money? We'll go to Vegas, get married, get a little wedding package. So we did that at like the Chapel of Bells right by, I believe it's the Stratosphere to have the outside stuff. We went there, got married, stayed in a hotel, got the little package. The limo picks you up, takes you to the courthouse, does all that good stuff. And then one of my vision board goals was for our 10-year anniversary. And we started thinking this in about 2014, right after my wife graduated. We finally started to have a little bit of money, like real money, not like, 1,000 here, 5,000. It was like we started having some real money. We started being smart, saving up our money, doing things that we weren't doing previously. Because even though we were doing good in real estate, we were still blowing all our money, helping all our families out, giving them whatever they wanted, paying bills and doing all this stuff that we couldn't afford, but we didn't know we couldn't afford it. You couldn't tell us we couldn't afford it at the time because we thought we was rich because we came from poor beginnings. So then we started getting smart and saying, you know what, we can't just keep doing this because we ain't gonna have nothing for ourselves. So we started obviously learning how to save and doing stuff like that. And but yeah, so one of my vision board big dream goals was to have a 10-year renewal of our vows and have a big wedding, because I know she always wanted a big wedding. I can care less, I'm a man, but she always wanted the big wedding, with people and family and partying and having a good time. So that was our goal from about 2014 until 2019. And we saved and we saved and we put money to the side for that. So yeah, in 2019, we had a big wedding, about 100 people,
That's awesome.
family and friends. And yeah, it was pretty amazing day for her and for me also, but for her more especially.
Yeah, that's really cool that you guys got to do that after 10 years.
Yep.
All right. So is there anything that you really enjoy just doing in your downtime, like a hobby or anything?
I mean, I love sports. So anything that has to do with sports, playing it, watching it, teaching it. I mean, I've been a coach for years. I would say the biggest thing that I like to do is, the biggest thing that I do every day is work out with my daughter. Literally, and we talk about it all the time. Literally, in the gym, on the field, she plays softball, she plays basketball. And that's the biggest thing, like my number one hobby right now is just training her to be the best person she could be.
That's awesome. That's really cool that you're with her all the time. I'm sure she enjoys that too, hanging out with you and working out together and stuff.
Yeah, every day, 7 days a week. Well, I would say 6 days a week, because there's always a day that something comes up and we don't do anything.
Yeah. So awesome. We got some really cool questions for you to answer there. Again, for everybody in the audience, if you have any questions, keep dropping them in the chat. I've seen that there's a lot. I've got a lot on my phone here from you guys, so that's awesome. But keep them coming. Keep them coming. We want some more. I saw in here, actually, Nick also said that he and JP are on their way to buy all the land in Columbus. So that's really cool.
Buy it up.
Yeah, we've got a successful student right there. All of you guys can be successful students as well. We want to help you out. Ginis is talking about how he loves to help the students out and love to see them reach their goals. So you can be one of those too. That's really awesome.
I don't really like to be in the spotlight much, being on camera and all that, but I do this business every day. So I love to talk to people. It's funny, right? Because me and Jonathan talk about this a few times. He's like, you love to talk to people. We can talk all day. And even other students have told me that. But like when it comes to getting on camera and doing all of this, I don't know. I've never been that person. I'd rather be low key.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got some more questions about you and real estate specifically. So the first one I have is, how do you feel about the current real estate market?
I think this is the time where, as I said earlier, what has always been said is, millionaires are made in a down economy. I think the economy is really over high right now. And what I mean by that is like interest rates being super high, people not being able, at some point, the foreclosures are already starting to hit. They're going to hit hard. And not only house foreclosures, I'm talking people's vehicles are going to be repossessed, which is a start of a disaster. Payments are so high. I think Jonathan posted something yesterday about the average car payment like $700 or something a month. Average mortgage like $2,700, $2,200 or something like that. If you look at the math, if you do the math, people don't make that much money. Right. For one, the average person is not making 150 grand a year, right? You make 150 grand a year, you're like in the top 5 or 7% or something in the world, for that matter. So the average person's making 40 to 75 grand a year probably.
Yep, I actually looked it up today. The US is 67,000 right now.
Okay, 67,000 average person is making. And if you got a $2,700 mortgage payment and $700 car payment, do the math. You're making 67, you're bringing home 40, 45,
Right. Mm-hmm.
just like $3,500 a month, $4,000 a month. That's what you're bringing home out of the 67, because you got taxes, you got insurance, you got everything else that comes out.
Yep.
So the average person cannot afford. But the problem is us as people, we try to take advantage of the little things that are given to us, thinking that we're getting over on them, but they're really getting over on us because long term we can't afford it, right? But people love to live beyond their means, which means they go out and buy stuff and do things that they probably shouldn't be doing because they're not looking at the long-term effect. They're looking at the right now satisfaction.
Yeah.
Right. Looking at the right now satisfaction. I'm gonna have my own house. I'm gonna be able to tell everybody I got my own house, right? But you ain't gonna be able to tell everybody you can't afford it in 6 months or a year from now. Or if one little thing changes in your life, you can't afford it no more. And then guess what happens? The bank don't care. They don't want to hear that you can't afford a payment. They're going right to your credit. Your credit's going to get shot down, just like it happened in 2005, 2006. I'm not saying it's going to happen like that. But what I'm saying is too many people are living beyond their means. And there's going to be, I believe it's going to hit the fan pretty quick. Probably like within the first quarter of next year. I think the foreclosure is going to be pretty high. People's cars are going to be repossessed. That may be another good business, get into the car business. Honestly, I mean, for some people, they want to make a little bit of money here and there. I know buddies that do it now and they make great money doing it. But I think the real estate market is going to be great for investing, especially once all this stuff starts hitting the fan. I think it's great now, but I think it's going to be better. But I do think it'll be short-lived because once they drop those rates again, a lot of people are going to be refinancing. And every presidential election, everything all of a sudden starts to get better. Gas prices get better. Interest rates start to go down. So that's my opinion of it.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I know a lot of people always look to seasoned investors to get their advice, and you're definitely a seasoned investor. So going back to years back now, how did you and Jonathan meet?
I met Jonathan through another land investor at a real estate event. I actually tried to sell him some coaching. And we talked a little bit about it. And I mean, literally, we had a meeting, me, him, and Hannah. And I think his dad was there the first time. I thought his dad was there maybe. And we just, kind of had a casual conversation. And that's when I really found out that this was maybe like 2014, 2013, something like that. In Florida. He just happened to be at an event and it was right in his backyard when he was living in Florida. And I mean, we talked for a while and that's how I got to know him. I'm like, man, this guy's like a real player in the game, right? Like he's doing a crap load of deals. And I'm like, well, I need to line myself with you, as this is when I was just kind of getting started in the land space. And me and him have always kept a pretty good relationship. And then he came on and was a coach for this big land speaker that I'm referring to. And I mean, he became someone that really, really helped students make a ton of money. And in fact, now, I mean, a lot of those students are actually coaches now for this big land speaker. But they were all trained by Jonathan and started by Jonathan. And I mean, he used to coach me a lot. And the benefit I had was we worked kind of somewhat together. And so I would be able to call him, with questions. And whenever I felt stuck somewhere, it's just at one time me and him had a conversation. I'll never forget this. I was going to hire somebody to do the sell side of my business. This is probably like 2017, 2018 now. I was getting so many deals that I was kind of stressing because I wanted to sell them faster. So I told John, I said, I'm just going to hire somebody because I'm getting all these deals, but I'm not selling them fast because I don't feel like I'm focusing my time on that, right, on the back end part. So he said, why would you do that? I get you want to pump up more mail, get more deals, but why would you pay somebody 40, 50, 60% of your profits when it's the same thing as if you just do it yourself? Just slow down on the mailings, handle what you can handle, and you don't need to hire nobody. You keep 100%. If you think about it, if you did double the amount of deals, but you're splitting your money with somebody else, it's the same thing as doing half the amount of deals yourself. I'll say,
You're working a lot harder too.
That's the smartest thing I heard all my life. And I'm like, it's so simple, but you overthink things, right? Because it's just you and you're overthinking something where somebody gives you something I could have thought about that myself, right? I should have. But the reality was my mind was thinking bigger.
Mhm.
Just because I would have been doing double the amount of deals, I wouldn't have been making more money, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm splitting that money with somebody else. So it makes sense. And that's why I said, you know what? You're absolutely right, Jonathan.
Yeah. Getting that second opinion is really
Yep.
important sometimes.
So
So
one
it's
thing,
like,
one thing I will say that every time I talk to Jonathan, I learn something new, literally, because he's so knowledgeable and he's just full of knowledge in it. So every time I talk to him, I always learn something.
yeah, me too. So it seems like you guys have been in this business for a long time. He was a coach. You were selling courses at that time and coaching packages. You were doing pretty good, it seems like. So what made you guys leave there and start your own business?
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan left way before I did, a few years before I did. Um, I mean, the biggest thing is at the end of the day, as I said earlier, some situations just don't work out for whatever reason. And I mean, I saw the writing on the wall 6 months before it happened. And I kind of let all my team know and my guys that worked for me. I let them know, hey, this thing isn't gonna last forever. So just don't ever change who you are. And at the end of the day, that's something I won't do it. I'm not gonna change who I am and what I stand for and what I believe in. So I mean, that's why at the end of the day, it just didn't work out. It didn't work out. I moved on. And but also I knew me and Jonathan kind of partnered together because I know a lot of the back end stuff.
Mhm.
Jonathan obviously is a great trainer, educator, person, very knowledgeable about real estate in general. And so it was like a perfect mesh, right? Of me not only being a coach and knowing real estate and doing real estate every day as well, but also knowing a lot of the back end stuff that Jonathan may have not known, right? From the sales and the marketing and all a bunch of other aspects. I'm not saying he don't know that because obviously he runs the business and sells 100 deals a year, so he knows obviously how to market and do all that. But it's just a different kind of business, right? And then some of the connections that I've had and over the years that I've built that I that you could bring into the fold as well. And it was just a perfect match where it was like I know what a lot of these other companies are not doing, right? And don't get me wrong, there's some great companies out there, while there's also a bunch of not so great companies out there. But we know, and I know that what they're not providing on the back end to the student. And that's why I told Jonathan, let's do what they're not doing. And either they have to shift and follow us or they get left behind, right? What we try to do is always bring cutting edge, real information. And we're able to do that and provide that because we're actually doing the business, right? It kind of goes back to what we say all the time, right? We've updated the land method. I mean, the land riches blueprint a few times already in just a year and 5 months has been out. We've changed our programs up. We've done a bunch of different things because we listen to people, but we make the majority of our money off of investing. But if we are going to provide a service like this, obviously it has to be profitable as well, right? But we don't make the majority of our money from the land from education business.
Okay, that makes sense. So going from that, making your own business now, why do you believe that the land method is the best land education company out there?
Oh, it's because I mean, we're doing it every day, and we're bringing people what we learn every day, what we have learned over the years. Um, True, raw. We don't hold things back. You ask us a question, we're going to answer it, right? The way we would do it. And not a lot of people do that, right? A lot of people are on the surface and basic. But again, when you work for somebody else, you have to do things their way, right? The way they want it done. At the end of the day, that's their business, right? And that's one thing with us is we do things the way we do them. The way we teach the way we do things is what I'm trying to say, right? So if you ask me a question, I'm going to sit there and answer it. Me and you were on a phone call 30, 40 minutes the other day, right? About your land business. You're asking me questions and advice, and I didn't hold nothing back. I tell you exactly what it is. I mean, I was on a call recently with, I believe it was David Williams, one of our coaching students, and I mean, had questions. I give them real advice right then and there, exactly what you need to do, how you need to do it. And then I'll get on you because I'm like, dude, we don't hear from you. If we don't hear from you, we can't help you, right? At the end of the day, we need to be able to hear from you. We need to be in communication. That's how we're going to be able to better help you as we go along this journey of you investing in real estate. So
Yeah, one thing I appreciate too about asking both you and Jonathan questions is you're doing it right now. You're out there buying and selling land. So a question that I have, I know you're going to be able to answer it because you're doing it. You're doing it every day. It's not like you did this 5 years ago type of thing.
Exactly. I mean, we're doing it. We're always looking for new ways to improve and do things better, be more efficient, make more money. Like we're always looking for ways to improve. I mean, obviously they always say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You don't fix it, you try to improve it, right? And that's one thing me and Jonathan steadily try to do every day. How can we do things a little bit better the next time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the land method is actually coming up on its 3rd-year anniversary. I almost said 2. 3 years in business next month. How do you feel it's gone so far?
I mean, I think it's been phenomenal. I mean, we started off very small. We still are very small. We work mainly off of word of mouth. Obviously, because if you've worked with us, if you like us, you're going to go tell other people about us, right? So we work a lot of word of mouth. We do some marketing, but it's on a very, very, very small scale. We're not spending $10, $20, $30,000 a month. We're not trying to take over the real estate industry, okay? We are trying to help those that are serious, that are motivated, and that just need that little boost, that little jumpstart, that little, help me do things better, easier, simpler, kind of way. That's who we are. It's been going amazing, though. I mean, we've steadily have increased. We've changed a lot of things of processes and how we do things. We're constantly looking to get better. That's just who we are. I mean, we're perfectionists in a way.
Yeah. And we've got several students who are doing really good now. So that's really awesome.
Absolutely.
To see. Yeah. So we've recently changed things up from more of a coaching program to a la carte style, kind of picking and choosing what you need. So explain the thought process of why we change things.
Well, it just kind of goes back to what I said. I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to bring cutting edge information. We know everybody out there, we know the prices. They're all the same. 20 to 40 grand is what people are going to charge you for coaching at the end of the day, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Time frame varies. Amount of calls vary. Kind of help you get varies. The people you work with varies. 90% of these speakers out here won't give you the time of day unless you're giving them 50 to 100K, right? Whereas we know that. Again, I've been in the industry for many years. There are some people that charge a little less, maybe not as known, not as big, I'll give it to you for $5,000. You find somebody in your, what do you call that? Those group meetings that people go to every month, the RIA meetings and stuff. You might find somebody there for $4,000 or $5,000 to kind of help you out. I'll help you until you get a deal. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. But with us, it's more about, we listen to our students, right? Again, we're always looking for ways to improve, and we feel this way that we have it set up, that we change it to the a la carte, benefits the student, because not only is it much less monthly, but it's a very short commitment time-wise, right? It's more than a month, but it's only a few months to commitment. I think it's like 3 months to commitment that we require, because it's going to take more than one call to really help you kind of moving forward and getting to where you want to be. So we feel a few months is the time commitment, but it's not a year, it's not 6 months. I think it's like 3 months or so is what you have to commit to as far as the program. But again, it's more about just trying to bring students the information and the help that they need without them committing to a big lump sum payment a year without no guarantees, or without them committing, their sacrifice of time. Because what a lot of programs is like, okay, it's 6 months, it's $25,000. But what happens if something happens to you or your family and you got to put it on hold? Yeah, they might give you the other month back. But in all reality, after those 6 months, after those 7 months that you get, you need help again. And they're like, hey, I need this, right? I mean, and we've helped students, and we still help students a little beyond that, because at the end of the day, it's more about, it starts as a student-teacher relationship that ends up becoming a partnership, a friendship, where we're helping each other out at the end of the day, right? And that's what we want. We look at you more as family, not just a number.
That's awesome. So talking about going from big dollar coaching to a la carte style, those kind of changes, are there any more changes or new products coming out?
Yeah, we're working, and I know we've been talking about the CRM since last year. I think we have it. It's done. we've been testing it. We've been working it. Myself, Jonathan, we got into a great partnership recently with the awesome CRM company. And I mean, we absolutely love it. It's amazing. It'll be out soon. We already have a name for it. So whenever you guys see the Land Riches Machine, just know, I promise you, this is the best thing on the market. I promise you that. It's way beyond anything else. Keely, you've seen it. You're working it.
Called machine for a reason.
Yeah, it's called a machine for a reason, because of everything that it's able to do, everything that it's going to be able to do, all the different ways it's going to be able to help you today and going forward over time, where you set it and forget it, literally. So it's in the works. I don't want to give a date, because every time I've said 3 weeks, a month, it hasn't happened yet. So I will say soon is going to come out. So just be on the lookout. We'll have more information in the group, I'm sure. We'll send the emails out to people, I'm sure, when that time does happen, but it will be happening very soon.
So we have a comment from someone, actually. She said, contractors crushed my fix and flip business, unreliable. So moving from fix and flip to land, do you have any advice for first-time land investors?
I do. Do your research. There's a lot of different land so-called gurus out there, or just land people in general. When I got started in land, there was like 3 or 4 speakers. Now there's like probably 15 of them. So do your research, decide on what strategy best works for you, decide on who you like best, and then just focus on that one company. What the problem a lot of people have is they watch us, they watch this person, they watch that person, they watch this person. They see how many people are in those groups. Oh, I'm going to go with this guy because he's got the biggest group, so he must have the most successful people. That's probably true, but he probably also has the biggest amount of unsuccessful people because of that, right? Because you're just a number at that point. You only can take on so many people at the end of the day. I mean, obviously, if you have a team, they can take on more and more and more. But I promise you, 90% of these people, their teams are not investing. And if they are, they're really not. They're really not. And I don't mean it in a negative way, in a bad way. But number one, do your research on these different land companies. Find out what strategies that they're pursuing, and what their investment strategies are. And then from there, decide who you like best. I would definitely purchase a course at the very minimum. That's going to be the A to Z on doing it yourself, or purchase coaching if you really want to kind of get things moving faster. I mean, I know everybody's like, oh, I already know how to do this. It ain't that hard. It ain't this. It's not that it's hard. It's just that there's always roadblocks ahead of you, and no matter what business you start. So either if you're someone that's very strong-willed, you're going to be able to overcome those yourself, right? It's just going to take you a little bit longer to do it. Versus if you hire a coach, you're not going to have to worry about the right coach. And let me just say the right coach, because people hire coaches and then, they end up saying the coaches wasn't what they thought they were, and this and this and that. It happens all the time. So do what's best for you at the end of the day. Whatever you think is best for you. Some people hire a coach right away. Some people wait till they make money and hire a coach. There's no right or wrong way of doing it. You just have to do what your instinct tells you and what you feel is best for you.
That's awesome. Thank you. So thank you so much, Ginis, for being here today and sharing some insight onto not only your personal life, but also throughout the business, some insight into the land method and some insight into how you've done things throughout the years as well. I know I've learned some new things, and I hope that our viewers here learned some things as well. So we do have quite a few questions from the chat that we found. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you some of those questions that have been popping up so far. And again, if you do have a question you haven't put in the chat yet, now is the time, because we're starting this segment, of the crushing land. All right. So our first question is, what are your criteria for a good land deal?
My criteria for a good land deal is something that I'm a simple guy. I like the easy deals. I don't like the tough deals. So something for me is like 30 to 75K. I think for me, that's my bread and butter personally. Any deals from 30 to 75K, that's what I can sell pretty quick. in near the city, not in the city, but near the city, not so far out in the country. And as far as acreage, it doesn't really matter. Whether it's smaller, bigger, whatever the case is, obviously it has to be fit for that area. But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest, that's the best for me is just something that is in that price point and somewhere near the city, not in the city, but near the city.
Okay. Good advice. I like that. So kind of along with that, what was your worst deal and how did you get through it?
Oh, my worst deal, I'm working now, and it's a house deal. And I'm just fighting through it at this point. I mean, it's a deal that I got, and I'm gonna post about this whenever I do sell it. I just took it off the market again. It's a deal that I thought was a phenomenal deal. As I say, I don't really market for deals for houses. This deal came across last year. I had a family member helping me, and they were really like, they helped me with like 9 properties before over the last few years. And I mean, they've helped me they fixed up all my rentals. I mean, very good prices, very good work, amazing. And you know, I got this deal, and they said it'll be X amount, you know, to fix it all up. And come to find out, I'm almost double that budget right now of what they told me it would be to fix it up. So I'm gonna make a very small profit, but for the amount of money that I have personally invested in this deal, it's heartbreaking, honestly. So yeah, this is probably my worst deal ever.
Gotcha. Well, that stinks that now is your first deal. Not first, worst. I can't talk today. So we have another person who said that they have gone through the Land Riches Blueprint course. It says the part that makes me the most nervous is asking for a 9-month closing. It seems like most sellers would look sideways at that ask. How do you respond to sellers about the long close?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you what, 95% of people don't read, so they're not even going to pay attention to that closing date. I'll tell you, out of all the deals I do, this comes up like once every 4 months. It probably comes up 3 or 4 times a year for me personally. And the reason for it is because, again, most people don't read. If they do say, hey, I had this situation, I think it was December or January. I had gotten a deal. I sent her the 9-month. She comes back and she says, oh, that's a ridiculous amount of time. This is normally a 30-day close. I said, no, we have things that have to be done. We have to wait on accounting for things. There's things that we have to do. We may have to get a survey done. We may have to get a perk test done. Right now, the perk test is 6 weeks out. And I literally called before I said this to make sure that I'm not giving false information, right? Because if that seller goes and calls and they say it's 2 weeks out, then I look stupid. So it was literally 6 weeks out. So I kind of told her, I said, right now, our average closing time is 90 to 120 days because of all the things that I need to get done. And she said, well, let's do this. Let's do 4 months. I said, well, I'll do 4 months. The price is going to change significantly on what I'm going to offer you, because now you're rushing me at the end of the day. I'd rather put more time on the contract than ask you for an extension. A lot of times when I say that, they don't say anything else. Okay, I'll sign it. Because it's true. I'd rather not put in my time and my money and then come back to you 3 months later and say, hey, I need an extension. If you don't grant it to me, I can lose money if I have money invested in this property. And that's what I'm not willing to do. And a lot of times people understand that. Yeah. Sometimes they don't, and if they don't move on. Or give them that time frame and try to, you know, whatever time frame they're looking at, try to sell it in that time frame.
Okay. That's good advice. So we have another question here. Said, so you can make money by improving the land, which is one way. On average, how long do you hold the property?
If I'm improving the land, I mean, sometimes 6-9 months. If I'm not improving it, I mean, again, I'm averaging about 90 days from under contract to closing on the sell side. Okay. But yeah, if I'm improving it, it all really depends on how long all this takes. You know, having people go out there and, you know, you got to wait for them. You're on their time at that point. So yeah, it could be 6 to 9 months.
How
If I'm
often?
not improving it, I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask how often you improve land, or do you typically not improve? Do you normally just like flip it?
Well, I normally flip it. I mean, I will go in there sometime. I mean, I always try to see what's the best use for this land, right? What's the highest and best value, or the highest and best use for this property? But the majority of the lots that we get are like you can't do much with them, right? There's town, county, different restrictions. It has to be a certain amount of acreage or square footage, stuff like that, setback. So not every piece of land you can subdivide or do something with or improve it. So in those cases, we just flip them out.
Okay. So we had talked about before you going from flipping houses to doing land. How did you shift your mindset when you started doing land?
I mean, I think it was because of what I was doing previously and how difficult it was and how much time it sucked and how much energy it drained out of me. It was almost like a breath of fresh air when it came to the land. I mean, I was really gung ho about it from literally like a year in because I didn't want to really do it in the beginning because I'm like, yeah, this is all fun. Yeah, you make a little money, whatever. But who really cares about land, right? I thought like every other house people, well, most other house people think, who the hell cares about land? But after some time doing it, it was like I kind of started to like just go all in with it because it's like it's so much easier. The profits are great, and I have different ways to make money, whether I'm seller financing it, buying and holding the note, or if I'm buying it, holding it like we did on one property that we held it for like 13 months and made a huge amount of money off of it. That was the biggest deal. It was last year, the biggest deal I did, like $120,000 or something.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big profit deal, the biggest profit deal I ever did. But we took the risk on that and I said, let's just hold this one. And
Mhm.
then let's just see where it goes. We knew that area was coming up. So yeah, we try to do that every now and again. Never had that kind of profits like that, but we will buy and hold in certain areas for a
Mhm.
short period of time to see if the values go up.
Okay. So going back to your very first couple land deals, on your first four land deals, do you remember what your profit margin was on those?
Yeah, on my first land deal, I believe I made about $5,000. It was about 40 something $100. And that for me was like, oh, this was easy because I literally had a few hours invested time wise, right, in the deal. And this was when land was selling a little bit easier, in my opinion. We were getting them cheaper, we were selling them cheaper, so we were able to sell them pretty quick. My second land deal was several months after that first one, and I think we were just under 10,000.
Okay.
Um, but I think all four land deals were under 10 grand. My
Mhm.
first four land deals, all of them were under $10,000.
Nice. Okay. That shows that you don't have to start huge. You can start on the smaller end of things and work your way up.
And I'll tell you, like my first two land deals, I think it was two land deals or three land deals. I actually bought them because I was scared to do the wholesaling thing for the land. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know how this is the same as houses. So let me just buy it. It's only, a few $1,000s. Why I'm gonna put this property out there and that was my mentality. I got a few $1,000s right here. Why would I put it under contract to sell it? But then after a while, I thought about it because the first one, or it was either the first or second one didn't sell right away. It took me a while to sell it. And I'm like, I see why people don't do this now, right? Because it's like, now I got my money
Holding that
tied up
money.
and I'm
Mhm.
holding it and I'm not getting my money back. So that's when I started to like realize, yeah, I should probably wholesale them unless they're really good deals, then we buy them outright. Now everything has to be a really good deal for me to pay cash for it. Almost
Right.
like when Jonathan just did that. He paid for like 12 grand and got it listed right now for almost 100 grand out there.
Woo.
I need one of those deals, Jonathan.
Yeah. So another question we have is, are you exiting the deals by creating notes or cash sales? If you're doing a mix, how do you choose when to create a note versus going for cash sale?
Well, I would say I'm probably doing about 60%, 65%. I'm wholesaling out, doing double closes. The other 35 to 40%, I'm buying cash now. So I did up that a little bit from the 80 it was like last year. And then when it comes to doing seller finance, I'd say probably one out of every 9 deals or so we're doing a seller finance with. I normally only do seller finance with lower price properties
Okay.
just because I don't want to deal with them. So if I get a deal, let's say under $5,000, I'm just seller financing it on jump because I don't have a lot of money invested in it. And I have the ability to make really good money off it. For example, my last 2 deals, I paid $2,700 for one and $4,200 for one. And the 2,700 we sold for $15,000 with $2,500 down. And it's like $300 something a month for a few years. And then the other one that I paid 42, we sold that one for 25 grand on terms. You know, and these are both at 11% interest.
Wow, that's awesome.
So yeah, I mean, we do those still, but we don't do as much just because we don't do as much lower price deals. I don't want to invest 40 grand in a lot and then it take me 20 years to get my money back, right? Or 5 years to get my money to break even, and then another 10 years to see, 5 years to see a profit or something. So that's why we don't do higher price lots.
So one thing on this question that I noticed, I believe this question actually came from YouTube. One thing that's really awesome about our Facebook group is questions like this get answered very frequently. Actually, we just did, Jonathan just posted a poll in the group about this specific thing. And then after that, he went live for about 10 minutes, actually discussing all of this and breaking it down. So instead of, Ginis's answer was awesome, but it was only about a minute. So if you want to learn even more, definitely come to our Facebook group and you can watch that whole 10-minute video that Jonathan did. So we have 2 more questions from you guys. But if you have any more questions, make sure to put them in the chat since we only have 2 left. So here's our next one. What types of improvements have you made on land you've purchased?
The biggest one is subdividing, upselling lots individually. We also sometimes will put all the plans together, the roads, and do all that. We don't do the work. We just put the plans together and then sell it as a package to like a developer or something like that. I mean, those are the biggest ones that we normally do.
Nice.
Try to maximize the land.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That was good. I like that. So do you perk test most properties or are you flipping to increase sale probability?
I only do a perk test if I'm gonna if I'm gonna do improvements to the property and it needs it. Other than that, I mean, if it's just a lot, I'm gonna wholesale out. I don't do a perk test. There's been very few lots I do perk tests on like that, and I did one last year because it was like I couldn't sell the lot for anything. Every single person was like, I don't think that thing's gonna perk. I don't think that thing's gonna perk. So we got it perk tested, and it perked, and then it sold pretty quickly. So if it's something that I have out there and I keep getting questions about it, like if it's an iffy situation, like it may not perk, I may go in there and perk it. I'll take it off the market at that point, I'll perk it, and then I'll come back on and add that price to it. So if it costs me $400 to do it, I'm probably gonna add another $800 or $1,000 for my time and actually doing it. Because now it perked, now people are gonna look at it a little bit more valuable. And even if I get offer a little bit less, then I'll still take it. But I'm not going to tell them that.
Right. Yeah. So we have another question here. So this is a new student who is in the Land Riches Blueprint course. It says, but they're not new to land. Sorry. Do you offer transactional funding for your students if we should need it, or do you have anyone to recommend? First
Go
off,
to the resources page. Right under the resources page in the Land Riches Blueprint, we have a ton of resources there for you. I actually just got off the phone with another closing company that does nationwide closings that I had a great conversation with, and I think they'll be added to that resources page in the coming weeks. But yes, we do. We actually did a crushing land with, his name is Dave Dinkle. If you go to YouTube, type in crushing land, and it's Dave Dinko. That's who is also under the resources page. But yeah, if you click on that resources page, we have a ton of resources there to help you with on a bunch of different things. So make sure you utilize that page.
Awesome. All right. Well, it was awesome being with you guys today. Awesome answering all these questions. I hope that you guys have gotten to know Ginis a bit better and feel a little bit more comfortable around him. Now that when you see posts in the group from him, you know who it is who's posting it.
Make sure you like it.
Yeah.
Say something back. No. And
Exactly.
like I said, guys, I mean, again, I sometimes you may call in and I'll be the one to answer the phone. I'm just that type of person, man. I I'll answer the phone. I jump on calls. I DM people back. I mean, that's just who I am, man. I'm just not out there on the videos and all that stuff as much as Jonathan, because he's way better at that than I am. So.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ginis.
Cool.
We had an awesome time interviewing you today. And again, thank you so much for being here with us.
All right. Y'all have a great day.
Yep. We'll see you on the next episode of Crushing Land.